Hello, friends. I wanted to share with you today how you can use a Letterman's jacket or a sports jacket if they use the same format. So my girls were on a drill team for years, and the first three groups used the same warm-ups each year, and then the younger two used the same warm-ups every year. And so I would take the um, warm-ups from the older one if she didn't want to keep them, and I would remove the logos or their names, pick out their names, and then take it to an embroidery shop and have them embroider the new person's name. If the girl wanted to keep it, I would contact a senior that was graduating from that year and ask if they wanted to sell their warm-ups to me at a discounted rate versus the couple of $500 I'd have to pay or whatever it was for their gear. I could take out the warm-ups and only have to purchase the travel uniform, that kind of thing. So I've done this for years. So if you have a jacket, a Letterman's jacket or something, and you find one or you buy one on eBay that matches the colors of your school, you can remove the patches and then purchase the patches from the shop or whatever, or have it embroidered on specifically to the jacket that you purchase. So my youngest child was a cheerleader, and she wanted a Letterman's jacket, but not a Letterman's jacket because she had the warm-ups for the cheer and things like that. So I kept my eye out and I found this jacket, which is the style that the cheerleaders had with the zip hat, in her school color, which the school color was this bright blue. And so I was able to find this at a secondhand shop for, say, I think it was $15. And it had the girl's name on it. It had a cheerleading logo across the back. She, at one point, wanted the cheer logo on it because she was doing cheer. Then she stopped doing cheer and went into something else, back onto the drill team. And so I took the cheer logo off so she could still wear this. It's a nice wool and leather Letterman's jacket, but so she could wear it to the games and activities and stay warm, football games and whatever, because it's super warm. But I didn't want to pay the several $100s that you would for a regular Letterman's jacket. And that wasn't a real thing for our school anyway. The girls didn't typically do Letterman's jackets, but she liked that this was wool and kind of had that look. So I'll show you on this other one how I did that. But you can also, if their name or something is embroidered on it, don't try and pick it out yourself. Take it to the embroidery shop and pay them to take it out, because they're so used to doing it that they won't rip the fabric when they're doing it. So I would just take the sweats that I would purchase to the embroidery shop. She would unpick them for me and do that. But on Letterman's jackets, they're usually patches that are sewn on. So this one I found at a secondhand store today for $20, and the reason it was $20 is it's brand new. It has the tag still on it. They had it marked $30, but it had been there for a month, and they'd marked it down several times, so I asked if they would lower it, and they sold it to me for $20. So you can see that it was marked $30, but they sold it to me for $20 today. It has baseball and basketball on the back, and it had so it has number 1 and an M, and it had the name Smith embroidered on a patch. So what they do is they embroider it with a thick thread, so it lifts up, and then they put it on felt and then on felt. So that is stitched on there, but then what they do is they sew it onto the wool. So this is a wool and leather, and it says on here it's leather, 100% leather, 100% wool, and how it's dyed and whatever on there. So it's brand new, never been worn, but it has this guy's name on it. So nobody's buying it, because who wants a Letterman's jacket that has the name Smith on it if you're not Smith and these aren't your school colors? What good is it, right? So I actually tried it on because it is a wool jacket and a leather jacket, and I like natural fibers. So I tried it on, and you'll be able to see it. It fits, which is, I fit a boy's jacket, sports jacket. But anyway, it fits. So I thought it's really warm. And so I really thought for $20 I'm getting a brand new jacket that's leather and has wool on it, which I like. So anybody who knows me, I lived in New Zealand. I love wool. So anyway, so I want to show you that you can recycle these. So if you went to the same school, say, and your child wants to go to that same school, or your child and you went to the same school as your father and you want to use his jacket vintage, but you want to put your own patches on it, you can do that as well, because the name would be the same if you're a son and your dad. So say your name was Smith and this was your dad's jacket. You want to leave the Smith on there, but maybe you didn't do basketball and football, you just did football and wrestling. So I'm showing you how you can take off the patch, not damage the article, and then still sew on what you want to. The colors usually stay the same for the high school, so it's kind of cool that the father and the son can then have the same Letterman's jacket. So what you do, and you can see that I've been able to get it off, and you can't even tell that it's been on there, but I left some of the thread on there to show you. So when you look at it up close, you can see these little zigzag patterns. There's the zigzagging, you can see right there. You always pick from the top of this, because if you damage this, it's okay. If you rip the wool with your seam ripper, you've ruined it. And you don't pull hard. You use this part here. This is a seam ripper. They cost about $1 at the dollar store or Walmart. So you want to get that underneath. At first, you want to get it underneath the zigzag on top, like on top of that. So you'd get it under the thread and you'd push it all the way up, and then it will rip it. It'll cut it. And then you move to the next one. And once you've got it up a little bit off, then you can pick it up off of the wool, and you can see that it's kind of lifted up the thread. So you get the seam ripper between the coat and the thing, and you cut it with the seam ripper. You don't pull hard on this because you don't want to rip the wool. You just lift it gently, get that under there, and make sure that when you slide it through, you're not getting any of the red threads, because you don't want to cut the red threads. Because if you cut the red threads, then you're going to have a hole in your coat and you're going to have to stitch it and darn it. So you want to make sure when you lift it up, if I lift it up, you can kind of see that? I'll put it on my hair. See, you can see that when you lift it up, it kind of lifts it away from the fabric, and then you just cut it with the seam ripper. And it starts to go very fast doing it this way rather than picking only from the top. So after you've picked it a few like that and you get around it, just make sure you don't pick up any of the red. That's why I'm lifting it completely off. Can you see how I'm doing that? So you just kind of pull it a little, and if you need to, you can kind of tug. Corners are hard because the stitches are not as far apart, so you might have to pick from the top again to get that around the corners. So don't pull hard, you just have to lift, and if you get stuck at the corner, you want to go from the top again and get through it. So that corner's hard, so I'm going to come over on this side and do it, and then you can work your way to that corner by doing it on this side. So see how I lift it up and on this side, and it's lifting up, and I can get through it, and I'm not, you see that? My hand behind it. So I'm lifting it up, and I'm not cutting the red threads at all. I'm lifting and cutting the thread only, okay? So once you've done that and you've pulled off the entire thing, I'm just gonna do it quickly, so pretend that's all the way off. Then you take the threads and you can pull them out, okay? So you've got the threads and you've pulled them out. And get them off my finger there. You can then take tape, and that's what that tape kept sticking on. You can get some tape and you can put it on the fabric and lift off the little black fibers that stay on there, and it will pull them all the way off. Okay, once you've done that, so you've seam ripped it off carefully, you've pulled out the threads, you've gotten the tape, you pull it off. I don't know if you'll be able to see where we've just taken it off, but there are still little sew marks sometimes in the fabric, like, so pretend that you're not going to be able to see very well, but there are little dots in the fabric. You can kind of see a line right there where it was. You just gently take your finger and you just kind of move the fabric back so it kind of closes the hole. So you just use your fingernail and kind of move it. And also, if you wash it so it's dirty, I have other videos where I show you how to wash wool. You only wash in cold water. You don't wash it with anything else. And you never put wool in the dryer. You lay it flat to dry so it doesn't bleed. Colors don't bleed. So you can buy drying mats that you can put them on. Don't lay it on like carpet or something because it will bleed onto your carpet. So you can buy these little drying mats. Some dryers have them. You can just lay it inside your dryer and let it dry, but you want to lay it flat anyway. So that would take it all off, and you can see you can't tell. So you can't really tell where the patch was on there. So you can take it all the way off. You can then wash it once the patches are off, cold water, or you can take it to a dry cleaner. If you're nervous about it, take it to a dry cleaner. If the item is old and the patch has been on it for a long time and it's been worn in the sun or left in a car, the wool will fade, the dye in the wool will fade, and when you take the patch off, you'll have a darker area because it won't have faded. So you cannot do this with an item that has faded, sun faded, or has been washed and the dye has been taken out of it a lot, because when you take the patch off, you'll have a patch there, an area that's darker. However, you can do that. Take this off. Say this is off, but there's this shape of a color that's underneath it. You can order a patch that you want, say football or track, and you can just order the patch letters to be bigger, made bigger. So when you're ordering the word that you want to sew on, so Letterman jackets, what happens is they might play football for 2 years and then swap to baseball. You can order extra patches in the colors that you want, any size and any color. So if you have a Letterman's jacket and it has faded underneath that area, around that area, just order a patch that is bigger than that area that you had. So if you ordered, track and made the inches a half an inch bigger all the way across, that track would cover that area, and you would still have the Letterman's jacket, and it would cover the area that wasn't faded or was discolored, and nobody would be the wiser. So you can still go ahead and order a cheaper coat, or use somebody else's coat, buy a senior's coat if they don't want to keep their coat, or somebody that went 10 years ago and they outgrew their coat and they're heavy now and they can't wear their coat. You can offer to buy the coat on a yard sale site or something for that school in the school colors. They don't change the colors very often in schools. So you can order that coat, buy that coat from them, unstitch the names, have it cleaned, and then you can order the patches and have the patches put on, but you can probably get the coat for $20 to $50, whereas if you ordered it new, you're going to pay a lot more than that. So this is a way you can recycle, reuse, heirloom, and still have that enjoyment of having a Letterman's coat or just a warm coat. So what I'm going to do with this coat is, I'm going to take the sports stuff off the back, and it's got an M, and it's Mickey Mouse colors, and that's the Mickey Mouse M. So I think I'm going to get a patch that says Mickey and put it on this other side, and I'm going to take, I could even leave the 01 off of on the bottom. That's not going to hurt anything. It looks like Mickey's number 1. I just need to take Smith off, basically, so I can just order a Mickey patch, and then I've got a nice wool leather coat. I could even just make you a cross of it. Making a mess. So, but it's brand new, it's beautiful, and it was $20. So I really and my daughter wears her wool coat all the time when it's cold. She'll wear that wool coat. So, and I have saved hundreds. That's how I could do it as a single mom and have my kids all in cheer and drill. I bought all my daughters, well, not all, most of their sweats and uniform pants and stuff like that from the year before. Most of the kids didn't want them, and they were happy to get some money out of them. So that's just some way to suggest, and hope you get something out of that and enjoy that. And you can watch some of my other videos on sewing and darning, and I'm going to put up one, how to sew a button on a coat. Usually they're a little stronger than you would normally sew a button on. So you can check that one out. Check out my blog, thesecretisgratitude.com, and I'll post pictures of how I do that. If you have any questions, you can look at that, and there'll be little more close-up pictures of the threads and things like that. So feel free to ask any questions. Check out my blog, thesecretisgratitude.com, and type in whatever you're looking for in the search engine. Check out my YouTube channel, The Secret is Gratitude. I have over 500 videos on all sorts of things: dehydration, house maintenance, crafts, recipes we like, family events, things like that. So check it out. Subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.